John Sandweg joins us with perspective. John, the former acting director of ICE under President Obama. John, always good to have you. Your perspective on this. Listen, I said it earlier to Joe Khalil. We know the outcome here, that it's not going to be a removal from office. There's been an impeachment, but he won't be convicted. They don't have the votes, nowhere close. It's just a question of whether they'll be dismissed. But what about the case against Mayorkas? What do you make of it on the merits?
I mean, look, Connell, it's obviously a political exercise more than anything else. At the end of the day, it's not going to make the border any more secure. Secretary Mayorkas is not going anywhere. You know, as it relates to, if you look at it as a lawyer, I mean, I'll say this, that, you know, the disagreements and the frustrations that the House Republicans feel are, you know, policy related. And certainly I'm not saying that there isn't fair criticism of the Biden administration. You might look at, you know, the rhetoric they employed in the beginning of the administration as it relates to the border. You might argue that they were too slow in, you know, working with the Senate Republicans and trying to make a deal to modify, you know, existing asylum laws. You might even say that whatever executive actions that might be upcoming have been too slow in the offing. However, none of those constitute high crimes and misdemeanors, and none of those, you know, reach that constitutional threshold for impeachment. And so, you know, again, I'd much rather see Congress and the House Republicans working on some supplemental funding to get a bunch of immigration judges down there and more Border Patrol agents, or I'd rather them looking at that Senate bill than I would this impeachment.
All right, so as we keep an eye on what's happening on the floor there, and there they are, might be wrapping this up pretty soon. We'll see how it goes in terms of right after this. You know, they present the articles, they walk them over, they present them, and then how quickly will this be dismissed versus whether there will be a trial. I'll look at the articles themselves, because that separates the conversation between what's being talked about in terms of a formal impeachment and whether it be removed from office, and what you brought up. So, Article 1, willful and systematic refusal to comply with the law, whereas Article 2 is a breach of the public trust. On that Article 1, I guess that's the real argument here. John, did this secretary willfully refuse to enforce existing immigration law? That's what they were saying. I heard them earlier saying, you know, his quote-unquote catch-and-release scheme, as one Republican put it, would stand up to that. And you say? Yeah,
I got some eye rolling going on here because, listen, the issue boils down to this. The immigration laws do say that certain classes of immigrants shall be detained. The Secretary of DHS shall detain them. So individuals who cross that border unlawfully, even if they're making an asylum claim, by statute, they shall be detained. Of course, you have to have resources to have detention. And look, ICE would be the one detaining the individuals. They only have 40,000 beds. We're looking at 120,000 people coming across a month. There is absolutely no way to detain them. I mean, by several magnitudes, we just are short of hundreds of thousands of detention beds and billions of dollars. So on that charge, I mean, in a very technical sense, the law says shall, and the secretary is not detaining them, but there are simply no resources. And then just to factor in one other thing, the immigration laws also give him the discretion to exercise what's called a parole, to just release people when you don't have enough detention beds. And so, look, is he intentionally violating the law? Absolutely not, because the technical provision that they point to just cannot possibly be fulfilled.
It can't be enforced. Can't be done. You just don't have the place to put people, so you say you can't do it. But it sounds like you would acknowledge that there's some issues here, political disagreements or a discussion to be had about whether or not he's doing a good job, right? I mean, that's a conversation to be had. You served the Democratic administration, but what would you say about this Democratic administration, how they've handled immigration? There's some fair criticisms. Is that fair?
I think that when you look at the situation of the border, obviously it's very hard to defend what's going on now. The numbers are striking. That said, they were dealt a virtually impossible hand. You and I have discussed this. The bottom line is we have an asylum system that says if you get 1 foot on American soil and say you want asylum, you cannot be deported until an immigration judge determines that your claim is without merit. You know, the problem is, though, we have never funded the immigration courts to handle anywhere near the number of asylum claims we're getting now. Smuggling groups have figured out that, they can exploit this vulnerability in the system, and they're taking advantage of it. It was an incredibly difficult hand that the administration was dealt.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.